Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show. I am Soni Haroon, your host today. Today we will be discussing identity and the Muslim woman. What is it that makes us? Who are we? What does a Muslim woman do when her identity is challenged? To help me discuss this topic, I have with me Halima Ahmed, a law graduate and a convert, and a mother of two. Assalamu alaikum, Halima, and welcome to the show. And Natasha Ansari, an accountant and a mother of three. Welcome to the show, Natasha. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So let's get straight to the point. What is it that defines us? Who are we?
I think identity, it's quite a vast subject. The most basic thing is identity is the way we see ourselves. Our identity within a group of people. Natasha, I think you had a definition.
Exactly. So as Sister Halima said, I think it's such a broad subject, and I think we do need to turn to reliable sources to determine or define actually what it is. And according to the Oxford English Dictionary, it's defined as the fact of being whom or what a person or thing is. It's the characteristics determining who or what a person or thing is. I think ultimately it's what makes you unique from other people.
Absolutely. It's a bank of your experiences, isn't it? Of your past and your present experiences. That's what makes up identity.
And then you can also say there's fixed identities and identities that are a bit more fluid. So you've got fixed identities like, for instance, your age, your race, your ethnic origin, which can't be changed. And then you've got more fluid identities like your profession or your location.
And your social status.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then you've also got, I think, psychological characteristics, which are sort of your behaviours. You know, whether you're generous or whether you're humble, whether you're charitable, and that's what the Quran talks about mostly. You know, about.
So, what are the characteristics of identity? All this would come into characteristics, isn't it?
I think again, your identity, it can be multifaceted. It's not one particular channel, one particular. It's there can be multiple ways that you identify yourself and people identify you, and I think that.
I think you're absolutely right. So the way I see myself, like my core identity would be, I'm a human being, I'm a spiritual person, I'm a spiritual being, I'm a Muslim. My core identity is connected with the Quran and Sunnah. And then after that, you've got other characteristics like, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a wife.
Yeah, so as Muslims, it's based on our tawheed, isn't it? Our identity is based on our tawheed.
Exactly. And so, we do turn as Muslims when we say we're Muslims, we say we submit to the will of Allah, and whatever's written in the Quran and the Sunnah, we use that as a guidance to fulfill and follow our lives. And then, the special thing about Islam is the fact that we from small things such as the way that we eat to larger things such on a macro level, the way that we collect charity, and we're meant to give charity to the poor and be kind
Everything
of integrated
is
within our community. Exactly.
Everything
I think that's because Islam is a way of life.
Yeah.
So it's not something we will just practice on a Sunday or on a Friday.
Yeah.
It's it's totally embedded in our lifestyle.
Yeah. So do you choose what identity you want to have?
I think, like we said before, some things are fixed, which you can't choose.
Yeah.
But then there are lots of things you can choose. I think, for instance, you can choose your nationality. If you move country, you can choose that country's nationality,
and the profession and how you behave. And
I think sometimes it's actually quite hard to change some things to do with our identity, our characteristics. So, for example, over time we might. Become more serious, or we might have a great.
Your personality changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your personality does change over time, and you become more wise. Perhaps you have more life experience. Yeah. So,
but does identity matter? Does it really matter?
I think identity matters a lot because it shapes what actions you do and who you are, and your actions shape your identity.
And it's more about how people perceive you, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think it's the basis of forming relationships as well with people. And you can, as Muslims, we feel we belong to the Muslim Ummah, but then we might have social clubs that we belong to as well, and then we identify ourselves, similarly in that sense.
You can identify with people on lots of different levels,
Yeah.
you know. So, for instance, if you go to work and there's other women there, you've got motherhood in common, you've got children in common. Even if you're something as simple as you're a part-time worker, you know, you've got that similarity with other part-time workers and the challenges of just doing that. You know, so you can identify with different things with a whole range of people.
Yeah. Halima, you're a convert, and how has converting affected your identity?
Yeah, I mean, I converted when I was about 18, and so before that, I just saw myself as a British Asian girl, British Asian Sikh girl. After converting, my identity was firmly rooted in my faith, like we said before, and I saw myself more as a spiritual being connected with Allah. That is my reason for being here. The Quran and Sunnah tells you your reason for being created is to worship Allah. So that is that develops your core identity.
And what challenges did you face when you were converting or when you had just converted? And
Yeah, it was a big challenge in terms of identity, because as a convert, whether it's societal pressure or maybe pressure within yourself, you feel like you want to just forget about your past and forget about your cultural heritage, and that's it. You've just got your Islamic identity. But I think that's not what Allah wants from us. So it took me a few years to sort of develop a middle ground and embrace my cultural heritage, which is my family are from Punjab, to embrace those things that do not conflict with Islamic values, and leave those things that do.
right, okay. And so faith then does influence our identity. It's what do you think? How does it influence our identity?
Yeah, I think as Muslims, I think to a huge degree, because then it differentiates our intentions for doing things. For example, you know, as Muslims, we are advised, we're encouraged to give charity, to give sadaqah, and to pay our zakah. And I think that you know, we can't say that non-Muslims don't give charity. In fact, there's many philanthropists out there who do give a lot away in charity. But I think the main differentiation is the fact that our intentions are completely different. We are motivated by worshipping Allah and pleasing Him, and then looking to the hereafter, whereas others may look to it as just something which is just working towards the humanity and helping the cause.
Is there something called Islamic identity then? Would you say there's something called Islamic identity?
I think there is something called Islamic identity. I mean, obviously, visually you can see, like if someone's wearing a hijab, if someone's covering, then visually they are Muslim, and that is their Islamic. Their dress code says, you know, that's their Islamic identity.
I think, yeah. So Halima's talked about the physical side to it, whereas I would say there's also kind of an intrinsic side to it as well. The way that we conduct ourselves with other people, I think, you know, I think that becomes ever so more important when we are wearing the hijab and jilbab, because I think then there is a duty that, you know, we're representing Muslim women, and we need to then show that Muslim women are not oppressed. We are confident. We are proud of who we are. And we're educated, and you know, we're free. We've chosen to wear what we do, and yeah.
Have you had any personal experiences with regards to your identity?
I have. It was my first job interview a couple of years back, and there were about 100 candidates vying for the job, and I kind of got selected for the final round, the interview stage, and there were 4 male candidates from different backgrounds up against me. And I remember I was slightly nervous and anxious because of the way that I dress, but then I just made sincere dua to Allah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help me in, you know, if this is good for me, then please give it to me. If this is not, then please remove it from my life, because ultimately I'm here to please Allah. I'm not here to compromise. When I say I'm a Muslim, I've submitted to Allah's will.
And if you start compromising one thing, then you have to carry on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right. And you know, in fact, we just as Muslim women, we need to be proud of who we are. And
so, did you end up getting?
Yeah,
that?
I ended up getting the job. I got a training contract with quite a large accountancy firm. And you know, it just proves that you know, with
you need to be firm in your belief,
and with dua, and you know, being a confident individual, you can achieve whatever.
So you didn't shed your identity, because a lot of Muslim women today are shedding their Islamic identity just to fit in. Yeah. So, all right, hold that thought there. Dear viewers, we must go for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.